Hello, welcome to our Tuesday's live video series. This is Cynthia Concordia from Dream to Rise. Are you courageous when you're fearful? Is courage a muscle? When do we need to be courageous? If you're like most people, you probably equate courage with fearlessness, but that's a faulty interpretation. In fact, courage is taking action in spite of the fear you feel. Courage is the willingness to respond fearlessly despite the anxiety and worry that might be tagging at you. Aristotle believed that the best cure for fear is to act in virtuous ways, including being courageous. And most of the time, we let our anxiety overwhelm and fear overpower us. Remember, the risk of not taking action is actually greater than the risk of moving forward. In fact, one of the best ways to be courageous is to understand what you're afraid of and then refuse to allow that fear to paralyze you. Because if you let it, fear has the power to stop you from moving forward, taking risks, and making the most of opportunities. Meanwhile, being courageous allows you to take what? Chances, pursue your dreams, and get what you want out of life. If you've been struggling with fear and want to feel more courageous in your life, there are a number of ways you can exercise your courage muscles and make the most out of every situation. It takes time to process this, just like going to the gym. Results will not show up overnight. It takes hard work, commitment, and perseverance to build your muscles. You need at least to work out 3 times a week, right? So when you experience fear, face it head on. Now, I will share with you 6 types of courage. First, physical courage. It involves proceeding despite fear of physical harm. An example is protecting someone on the street from an attacker. The threat is being attacked yourself. So what skills would you need? It's either you fight or you run. The second is moral courage. It is the ability to stand up for your convictions despite the sense that it may end badly for you. An example would be standing up for the oppressed. What's the threat? Social exclusion and ridicule. The third is social courage. It is the courage to expose yourself to social situations where you may be vulnerable to embarrassment, ridicule, or discomfort. An example would be speaking in front of an audience. The threat is you might commit mistakes and be judged. The fourth is intellectual courage. It is the willingness to learn and expand our horizons. An example would be debating with different views. The threat is your views are put to the test. The fifth one is emotional courage. It is allowing ourselves to feel the full range of human emotions. There are times we try to protect ourselves by appearing uncaring or disconnected, but those with emotional courage proceed to emotional relationships with the knowledge that they may be emotionally impacted at some point in the future. An example would be falling in love. The threat is having a broken heart. The last one is spiritual courage. It is the ability to face up to spiritual questions that may be uncomfortable and a threat to your own identity as a spiritual person or undermine your own spiritual beliefs. Attending a religious belief is an example, or a religious event for a religion that is not your own. The threat is exposure to unexplored spiritual questions. Some are scared that they might be influenced, but it really depends on how strong your faith is in your religion. Those are the types of courage that are useful to reflect upon in order to identify ways in which you are personally courageous and to identify opportunities to be more courageous and achieve self-improvement. You can experience some downtimes. but those will push you to your limits so growth may show up. But as you move forward, what happens? You become stronger. Fear will no longer overpower you. You will discover that little by little, you'll become stronger than your fears until they no longer have the same kind of power over you that they used to. May I ask you, are you in the state of getting stuck as you lack the courage to jump in to live your dream? Connect with me so I may be able to share with you some of my lessons learned. It was my courage that brought me to where I am right now. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Cynthia Concordia from Dream to Rise.